If we are open and willing, the purpose unfolds in our life and it gets bigger and better. And there's a phrase that Father Richard Rohr has, and he said, pain that is not transformed is transmitted. A cure can kind of get rid of things and we think, oh, we got it. A healing is emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Abundance is not gained, it's discovered. Believe the abundance is something that is nurtured and let it be unconditional love.
Hi, and welcome to Don't Shrink to Fit podcast. I am your host, Claudia Noriega-Bernstein. My podcast is all about you and all the courageous women like you. I truly believe we are here to inspire, empower, share, and embrace one another. In my podcast, I talk with women from different backgrounds and careers about love, family, friendship, their wins and falls, and the life they love. We explore our feminism, challenges in an intimate and honest way. I truly believe we can only fly if we embrace each other. I have a new episode every week. Please go check it out. I hope you enjoy it and can't wait to hear from you. Hi, everyone. Today I have Ruth Kent. She is a certified practitioner in emotional code, body code, and belief code. Bleeding her background in science with deep spiritual faith, Ruth works alongside you to release emotional, physical, and spiritual blocks, guiding you towards healing, joy, and a life filled with abundance. And I am so thrilled to have you here, Ruth, because we met each other a couple of years ago and we just gravitated to each other. And we've been trying to have this conversation for so long, so I'm so happy and excited to have you on the show.
Well, let me say, Claudia, I'm honored because it's individuals like yourself that are making a change in this world, making a difference in this world. And for me to be on that journey with you, but also to lift you up as you lift me up. We're together, we will fly. And I love, love, love being with you today.
Thank you. Me too. And I need probably 3 hours to talk to you because we can talk about your personal life and then we can talk about your work. But I think we can manage to kind of intertwine them a little bit. You discover this gift that you have because you were going through a personal experience in your life, correct? Can you please share a little bit about that?
Well, you know, there's a twofold answer to that question. Number one, this gift, I call it my purpose, my God-given purpose to bring into the world. And I've been reading Wayne Dyer, David Hawkins, Father Richard Rohr, and they all speak into that if we are open and willing, the purpose unfolds in our life and it gets bigger and better, you know? Well, the reason I say it that way is that I was able to look back. And when we look back, we can see the dots and we go, oh, 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 you know? So there was a great part of my life I didn't know what I didn't know. Okay. Then I knew, but I was coming from an ego portion of it. I'm different. No, I was learning to become me, you know? And Carl Jung speaks into that, the first part of life and the second half of life. The second half of life, which I don't know, Claudia, I think I'm in my fourth or fifth, but no, I'm moving into my soul truth. And that's where you become unconditionally grateful and in love with that opportunity to bring forth. And it was during a couple tragedies or dark points of my life, but everyone helped it to grow. The first one, the first one that I became aware to acknowledge, to accept, and then to allow was in 1997, I was told that I was going to be in a wheelchair on oxygen in 6 years by my neurologist. And I lived in chronic pain. I had multiple autoimmune disorders. I had so much tension and stress in my body that when Dr. Nelson, who gave us the emotion code, body code, and belief code, he was trying to do muscle testing on me. He couldn't do it because my body was so riveted with pain and tension. So I would get a massage and then go to him. Now, a little backstep. For many, many years prior to this, I had gone to doctors, infectious, rheumatoid specialists, functional medicine, doctor of nutrition, acupuncture, chiropractor, physical therapy, counselors, you know, thinking mind, body, spirit, motivational events. I literally probably spent $250,000 on, you can do this, you know, but it was like water on a Teflon pan. I couldn't get it. I was determined though. And there's an analogy that I use in my life to this day. I can look at the blackboard or I can look at the white dot. The blackboard is situations, circumstances, and conditions. The white dot is possibilities, potential, and solutions. So here I am in that office. I just had an EMG, and it showed that I had lost the medial and the lateral nerve paths of my left leg. And I thought I was getting better because some of the pain had lessened a little bit. And he goes, no. He said, the next step for you is probably being paralyzed. Surgery wasn't even an option. My back was so herniated, compressed, and degenerated that if I would have started surgery, it would have led into one to another to another. I got introduced to a company called Nikan. Nikan creates a wellness home. It supports your innate healing potential. Okay. I still have it to this day. Now, that was at 45. I'm going to be 74 this year. So, you know, I've given it a good run and it's shown its benefit yet to this day. And through Nikan, I met this chiropractor, Dr. Bradley Nelson. Dr. Bradley Nelson was just starting. And again, like myself, we saw an awareness in people, you know, and I could see it in people, but I didn't relate it to myself, you see. But I would see people come into the hospital as an intensive care trauma nurse for 41 years, 47 years of healthcare. I saw a lot of people and I observed people. I didn't come in like, I didn't treat the number, treat the, you know, diagnosis. I observed, I listened to them. And I often found it very like, Lord, what else is there? Because some people would come in and they would have fevers and nausea and all these quote unquote seeming to be autoimmune disorders. And there was no reason for it. We could not find a reason for it. And the other person come in and they have like nothing. And yet they came in probably through the emergency room and we found something on x-ray and they get admitted to the hospital and they don't know what they're there for. They're going, I feel pretty good. Why am I here? You know? And all of a sudden we found a mass or whatever. You know, the extremes I'm giving you here.
Right.
But I kept saying, what else is there? Well, through my own journey, I found the answer. And what I found is that we can have inherited programming, energy, limiting beliefs that can not only lead to our behavior and our patterns, but emotion, spiritual, and physical, or emotional, mental, and spiritual. The blueprint is the physical. It's going to show up somewhere. And there's a phrase that Father Richard Rohr has, and he said, pain that is not transformed is transmitted.
No.
I was working with an 83-year-old woman yesterday, and she just lost her husband. She's gone through a lot of grief. And she could tell she's very awake individual that she said, I feel better. I feel lighter. I still have my moments and I let myself cry, but I feel I'm moving forward.
Mhm.
But she said, I have this pain. You see, the consciousness can get to a level.
Right.
And that's the difference. What I feel is between a cure and a healing. A cure can kind of get rid of things and we think, oh, we got it. A healing is emotionally, physically, and spiritually.
Mhm.
Was working with her through the emotion code, body code, and belief code. And all of a sudden, she said, all the pain's gone. She got up and was walking herself in the pain. Now, sometimes it can happen like that.
Mhm.
Sometimes it takes time. But like that moment for myself, when I got up and stood and walked out of his office, he said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to go find a solution. Don't give up, not only finding a solution, but evolve.
Right.
Evolve.
That's what I was going to tell you, because you need to want it. You need to be open to receive it. If you're not, you can have 100 sessions with 100 people, and they might tell you a lot of things that make sense to you. But if you're in resistance, nothing is going to change.
Yes. And on that note, I have had a lot of people over the world, and some people, you don't know, you don't understand. And I go, you're right, I don't understand, but I don't have to understand. I
Right.
don't want to understand where you're at. I want to hold the intention for your highest and greatest good.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, they kind of, quote unquote, I don't take it on, but they do lean on that. At least it's an open door that they can't imagine themselves.
Right. They try everything else, and now it's like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. And I think at least that's what motivated me to start getting curious about this. A couple of years ago, my sister does emotional healing as well. So her discovering this gift, this purpose, this calling that she has, um, got me curious too. And I'm starting to think, wait a minute, why did I have cancer? Why did I feel so tired? Why I have all these physical symptoms, and then I'm going to 100 doctors and nobody knows what's wrong with me. So there has to be something there. And then if I put together, or in the same pot, my relationship with my mother, her relationship with her mother, the way that she treated me opposed to my brother, her relationship with her dad, things start making sense. And I'm starting to think, okay, wait a minute. Maybe these symptoms are just a mirror to some emotions that I'm holding on, and those emotions are hurting me, and I don't know that they're hurting me, but they're familiar. And sometimes we hold on to the familiar because that gives us some sense of security or control. And then I'm start going in that rabbit hole trying to figure it out. But
Mm-hmm.
it had given me so many answers. And even when you and I had a session, because the audience doesn't know this, but Ruth, when I invited her to this show, she said to me, I'm happy and thrilled to go to the show, but I want to have a session with you first because I want
Mm-hmm.
you to learn what I do. I want you to really see it in action and get your own conclusion. This is serving you or not serving you. How do you feel? And all that stuff. And there is this side of me that is very skeptical in everything, but there is this other side of me that is extremely woohoo. I will try anything. So when I was in the session, I purposely, like when I go and see my medium, I don't say anything. I just listen because, first of all, that's, of course, that part of me that's skeptical. Let's see how much she can find out. But then there is that other side that wants to release, and be there in the moment and just allow things to show up. So
Mm-hmm.
Ruth said some things about me and about my emotions that really made me had an aha moment and realizing that, wow, yes, I'm holding on to these emotions of situations that had happened to me, because we always think that things happen to us and not for us. But even my miscarriages, I hold on to those little girls, and I didn't want to let go of them. And my sister brought them up a year ago or so, and she said, you have a couple of girls that you lost, and they still very attached to you.
Yeah.
And so when Ruth brought it up to me, I was like, wait a minute. Are you talking to my sister? But it really made sense, because for the last 20 something years, I always felt this presence around me. And I always said, well, these are my angels, and they are, but they are also my kids, and
That's right. That's
I
right.
never put that together. And, it makes me super emotional, because it's like, I adore my kids. And
Yes.
knowing that these souls were still around me and feeding out of me and guiding me at the same time was such a beautiful feeling. So thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, there was there was a program here, and I did volunteer for the veterans.
Mm.
And there was a veteran that came in, and he was there every time I was there. He was like, he would not miss it, which is very interesting, because when he went to the acupuncturist, they put the needles in the heart meridian. They popped out.
Oh, wow.
They popped out. Bless your heart. I'm
Yeah.
hugging you. And so I just started working on him and working with him every week. And all of a sudden, he was there before I even got there. He was sitting in the chair, and he was like proud as a peacock. And I said, Lord, I guess you're ready today. And he says, I'm so excited. I want to tell you something. Okay, first of all, that type of comment was not what he used to speak,
Oh, wow.
And he said, number one, got a job. Number two, I have a girlfriend. I said, well, look at you. And he said, number three, the heart needles aren't popping out anymore.
Oh.
You see, one of the areas which I work with is heart walls. It's energy like a bomb shelter.
Mhm.
And look at all that you mentioned that you went through with life. Well, this gets layered and layered and layered, and we become numb.
Yeah.
It's almost like you can't tune into that inner voice because it's so muffled.
Right.
It's like, oh, I think I hear you.
But that's what we know, though. This is the thing. That's what we know. And I always tell this to my girls. When you leave in the garbage, it doesn't stink anymore. We get accustomed even to the ugliest smells.
Yeah.
We get accustomed. We assume that that is how it's supposed to be. This is how my life is. This is my destiny. And we run with it. And we don't
Yes.
get curious to see, wait a minute. There is more for me. I want more. There has to
Yeah.
be more.
Well, and let's face it, in my program, Champion Your Truth, I use the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And people don't sign up because they think it's all about money.
Right.
Oh, they're missing the whole concept here. Because in the book, he says, how we do anything is how we do everything. Now, a lot of people don't see that. They go, oh, no, I'm this way and I'm that. That's all logic.
It's the same
Okay.
thing.
And there's multiple different phrases, but wealth is not a what, it's a who. And I have a phrase that I really love, many different phrases, but abundance is not gained, it's discovered.
Yeah.
When
That's what
we
I do,
discover,
inner abundance. That's what I work
yes,
with women with their inner abundance, because I found that on my own, that everything that I needed, I already have.
I want to pause this incredible conversation for a moment to speak directly to you. Yes, you, the overwhelmed, frustrated, tired of the BS mama. You're not alone in this. We all have those days. And let me be honest, sometimes those days last a little too long. But here's the good news. It can be better. I've been there. I have guided so many women like you to get out of the funk and start living the life they truly deserve. So book your call now. What are you waiting for? You're meant for more, and you know it. You feel it in your gut, and there is no more time to waste. And don't forget to grab my book, Brighter Days, available on Amazon. You will enjoy it, and I know it will speak to your heart.
Are you ready?
It's already present. But if
Yes.
we hang on to what is, we're never going to see. Now, it's very interesting because, as I told you, I'm 73, and there were two individuals just last week that said to me, I want to work with you, and would you like to have see what I do as well? And I said, like you. Yeah, okay. Both of them said, oh, you have to get ready. Something big is really happening for you.
Mm.
The old me would have gone, what do I need to do? Am I going to have this? I would have gone into like, holy crapola. You know what? I take one breath at a time and I move forward.
Right.
And my slogan for 2025, it looks like a 7-year-old wrote it. I am open and willing. Thy will be done. Give me the grace and courage to do so. Abundance will flow. And like you said, it's already present.
Mm-hmm.
But if we focus on the lack or the stagnation,
Right.
we get more of it.
You know, you said something before we started recording, we were talking. I had to start recording because if not, we were not going to have a show. But we were talking about husbands and the conditioning, right? My husband is going through a life changing. He's almost retired and he's going through finding himself without playing the role he was used to play. And sometimes because I am in my own journey, I get like, okay, what's going on here? And I don't know the right word, but I get really annoyed, to be honest. And because I have this focus on myself that I want to create, and I'm working on it. And here he is not trying to slow me down, but trying to slow down himself. But in the process, I think doesn't recognize himself. And you
Well,
mentioned,
it's a really interesting time because you're blending.
right. But
And
what I was going is that you mentioned that your husband also went through some changes,
oh,
and the beliefs that we have are so powerful that we allow that conditioning to prevent us from seeing what's possible for us. Can you
yeah.
explain that a little bit more? Because I love when you said, when your husband, says something to you that he had never said before, and that was for you kind of like a confirmation that he was starting to receive what was available for him.
Yeah. And on that note, when I first started to look at this, I thought it was all for physical.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm I'm more of a person. I'm not completely different. I'm more of who I ever thought I was going to be. Well, my husband, um, we drove we lived in San Diego, and then we drove to North Carolina and took a 6-week tour across the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting. I saw it building, but the technique of which I knew at that time wasn't working. In fact, let me give you a real quick story. We were in the bookstore, and this positive affirmation and, conditional love and, 4 language, I mean, you name it. I attempted to bring, and we had gone to probably 10 or more counselors. We had gone to retreats. We've had different books. And one day we're in the bookstore, and I turned him around and I said, if I'm so crazy, all those authors wouldn't have anything to write about, Okay, but that was still out here.
Mm-hmm.
He was here and defending himself, trying to understand himself. I mean, it was like movement. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, that's what I did. I gave him a anniversary gift.
Mhm.
And the anniversary gift was a session on me to release any emotions that I'm bringing negatively or imbalancing or disharmony into the marriage.
Right.
Dr. Nelson actually did it on me. So all of a sudden, 2 days after that, he said, "There's something different about you." I said, "Oh, maybe." Then I wasn't guided to say anything at that point.
Right. Right.
Believe me, I wanted to, but no, we did. And then all of a sudden, a month later, he's sitting at my desk. I'm standing at my desk. And all of a sudden, I hear, "You can share with them now." And I said, "Well, I don't know where that paper is." I looked down, it's smack dab in front of me on the desk. So I handed him the piece of paper. Now, normally, and I stayed there neutral. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Help me, Lord, to just be present, be in my highest good, and send him love." And he's looking at it and looking at it. Normally, he would have looked at it and go, "Yeah, so what's this about?" Like, in other words, "Yeah, now what do you have me to do?"
I know you're
It's
talking.
like,
It sounds like my husband. Every time I said, he look at me, he goes, "Listen, I don't believe in this thing, but if you believe, I mean, more power to you. I'm glad that this resonated with you. But
yeah,
like, I'm here, you're there. I'm not in your space, you know?"
yeah. And when we get to understand we are all one here,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And so all of a sudden he handed it back to me and he said, "You really love me, don't you?" I thought, darn, what's on that piece of paper I didn't see. So he agreed at that point to have some sessions.
Wow.
And I help people get certified in the work. I mean, there's headquarters as well, but I support them, and there's an affiliate link on my website. But what I do is if they need somebody to work with, I can help them find people as well. So he goes, "I'll do it. I'll do it." He kept raising his hand. There was like a huge difference in him. He would, ask me what I'm doing. He wouldn't come in and, like for a while there, he used to walk in when I was working and say, "When are we having dinner?"
Oh my God, you're describing my husband.
I'm going, "God, I thought you were old enough and handle this."
What do you
But
want to eat? I'm like in the middle of writing a book or something, and he will walk in and go, "What do you want to eat?" And I'm like, "Huh?" Or he will stand next to me and I'll say, "Can I help you?" And he's like, "What do you want to do? You want to go for a golf cart ride or something?" And I'm like, "What?"
I know, yes, no, I totally get it. And they mean it with best intention,
Yes.
but it's almost like stuck in teenager age. So rather than make it right or wrong, good or bad, because that's egoic,
Right.
I said, every time he had a session, I just hoped and prayed. Well, then it came to that moment that you shared.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden one day he looked at me and he said, "Well, honey, what do you think about this? Or what's your thoughts?" And I just sat there. And he goes, "Why are you looking at me that way?" And I said, "I'm embracing and just enjoying the moment because you haven't asked my opinion for so long. Thank you."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I'm sorry." And it went to the heart, you know? It wasn't right or wrong.
I should
It
not
was,
have more makeup today.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But the
Because
the
there is a
freedom.
part when you're saying these things, Ruth, that although I can get very annoyed when my husband does that, there is also this side of me that want to hug him like a little boy
Oh,
lost
100%.
in the mall, you know?
Yeah.
And I want to say to him, "I know, sweetheart, you don't know what to do with your day, but let me find something for you to be busy while I finish my work," kind of
Yeah.
like that. And it's such a tender moment at the same time. It's a mix of emotions. And,
But
that's,
even in that statement, Claudia, sometimes sitting down and say, "Okay, what's your day going to be?" Because mind you, when this was all happening, we were about to get a divorce
Mm-hmm.
and we were going through bankruptcy.
Wow.
You see, but what we came to is that, yeah, we did love each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a Hallmark guru,
Yeah.
you know, and I love the phrase and the intention that I help couples, come to is
Mm-hmm.
that we love each other, or we want somebody in our life that loves us for who we are, and we're wanting to be our best for ourselves and for this relationship.
Right.
And, you know, it was very interesting. I have a program called Resonating Relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of inner child work, or, you know, um, parenting programming,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the fact that you have 20 years, we had 26 and a half. And I say 26 and a half. We didn't get divorced. My husband went in for elective heart cath and died.
I'm so sorry.
But I'm so grateful because before he passed, we got to share and renew our vows twice.
Wow.
Once in my hometown, and then once at South Africa on Table Mountain.
Oh, I love that. I love South Africa. I went, actually, my daughter, Talia, did volunteer with in an orphanage for 3 months there. We went
Yeah,
to a safari. This was like little story I'm gonna tell you. Um, we went to a safari, and when we were leaving the safari, very luxurious and beautiful safari, we're leaving the safari and we passed in front of this little town, and these little kids were running behind the Jeep. And she was very touched. And she's like, Mama, I'm going to come back here. I need to come back here. Like she felt that calling. And like 2 months later, she packed her bags and moved to Musenberg, which, mind you, I didn't know was one of the most dangerous places in the world. So I saw it on the map on red, and I'm like, oh my God, Talia, where are you? And my daughter is not, I mean, you're gonna find her in a crowd, because her personality and how she looks and everything, she's very blessed. So I was like, my goodness, you're in South Africa, you're in Musenberg, you're working with, these children, and you are in a really bad place. I mean, anybody can snatch you, and at that time I was working and volunteering with women trafficking organizations. So I knew a lot of what these people look.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
so nervous, but yeah, but I love South Africa. I'm sorry I interrupt you. I wanted
No, no,
to
no,
share that
no.
little part of it. But I
I have
think
gone
it's
there
so
5 times.
beautiful that
I
you
love it.
said that, and then you got to experience the real person that was
Oh,
behind all those
100%.
limiting beliefs.
Yeah, 100%. Because, and the book Boundaries came into my life also. And I really encourage everybody to read that book. And some people may have a hard time with the scripture in there. Get the nugget,
Right.
because what I found from that book is my thoughts, my feelings, my actions are my accountability. That's what healthy boundaries are.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm having stinking thinking, you think that energy is not going out? You think it's not part of the problem? If you want to be part of a solution, be your own best friend, come from love, and respond. Now, my daughter's 34 years old, and um, she came to me the other day. She had an incident with her move.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, Mom, I was angry. I was frustrated. I was disappointed. I was all this. But I took a deep breath. I felt those emotions. And then I responded because I said to her, I said, what did you say? And she goes, you're going to be proud of me. And I said, well, I'm proud of you either way, you know? So the rippling effect. I'm seeing changes of all generations. And I believe that we're all leveling up. I really do. Right now, there is, in the clients that I have all over the world, a huge amount of inherited energy allowed to be freed. Think about it. What do we have in our history? What comes up most of the time? Slavery, poverty, war. Look at the champions that have determined to make it through this to, be a better life. Okay, now we're getting rid of the energy. One of my web designers said, Ruth removes the trash without going through the rubbish.
I love that. You
Yeah.
should have it there, right there.
Because it's not counseling. And
No.
you talked earlier about people with resistance. This releasing can help them to be more open.
I think it's awareness. I think that is what you do is a gift, definitely, because you bring awareness to areas that you didn't even know were there. To fix a problem, you gotta acknowledge there is a problem. And oftentimes we don't even know that the problem is there.
Well, and with that, I encourage people because I would say 90% of the people that I ask the question, what do you want? They can talk about stuff out here. But I say, what do you want? And all of a sudden they blah, 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 and I say, Price Pritchard, U Square, T. Harv Eker in A Secret of them. They have a comment. They say most people don't get what they want because they don't know what they want.
Right.
I say that's a bunch of bullshit. Excuse my French, but it's true because what person doesn't know that they want to be loved, they want to be safe, they want to feel joy?
Ruth, they do, but let me say this to an extent, because when I get a client, I said to them, you tell me what you want, and I'm gonna give you what you need. Because we think we want all this because we don't know any better. At the end of the day, we all want joy. At the end of the day, we all want to be loved. At the end of the day, we all want to feel we belong. Yes, we all want that, but we get our vision get clouded. We don't see it. We just think we want other things. And that's what we do as humans. We look for these other things that are going to give us those emotions or those feelings. That is what we really want. This is when you manifest, you have to attach an emotion to that thing that you want, because it's not really the car or the house of the vacation. It's that feeling of joy and fulfillment and happiness and adventure and all those high energy, high vibration emotions that we're looking for.
100%. But when you can go through, for instance, okay, working with some people and they know that they want to get to a certain point. They want to feel that love inside. Okay. It's very, very interesting how they can see it in something else. But when they start feeling it inside, and then I bring the word commitment in. And I said, I want you to embrace that word today and allow yourself to have comfortable confidence, not just confidence, comfortable confidence. That comes from that deeper knowing.
Right.
So all of a sudden, in fact, there's a lady up in Delaware, she said I saved her life. No, she saved her life. Yeah, I call myself an umpire. I go and dust the home plate. You hit the home run, But had the programming and yada over and over again. And now she is developing a business of her own. She's doing, also consulting, and she's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But she found love inside. But she was committed to not know what she knows, but to allow herself to be open in faith. And when she became committed, that's when Providence has a chance to move in.
Right. When you allow it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's so many, going to this work, I'm just like anybody else. I've got the stinking thinking. I've got the, yep, yep, yep. And to pause and to practice and to learn, as I feel now I've become more of an observer and a witness,
Mm-hmm.
and the judger's gone. And I don't live life so much from the doer, but the beer. And to get to this point, it didn't happen overnight. Remember, I started when I was 45.
Mm-hmm.
And that was this
Which is,
journey with this work.
you know what, which is so inspiring, because you could have just at 45 said, oh my gosh, I'm 35. I'm gonna start learning about these things now. I mean, yeah, my life is not perfect, but what the heck? And you didn't.
No, and that's a gift my mom and dad. My mom and dad always kept learning no matter how old they were,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I heard a word last week, and it was evolutionary. For everybody listening, every day is a new day. Winnie the Pooh said, "Today is my favorite day. Make it," and you can always not start over, but start in the place where you're at.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna end with that because we've been talking for 45 minutes.
Oh, well, as you said earlier, we could talk forever. And believe the abundance is something that is nurtured, and let it be unconditional love.
Yeah.
Abundantly, abundantly.
And if anybody that is listening feel that there is something missing, that they are meant for more, that they know somehow that little voice inside of them that is telling them, get curious, get in touch with Ruth. Call her and find out what it is that you're holding on that doesn't serve you anymore, so you can get that life that you deserve to live with joy and abundance and happiness and love. Because
Yeah.
that's at the end of the day what we all want.
Isn't that true?
Thank you so
Well,
much for
much
being
love to you, Miss Claudia, and many blessings. And to all who are listening, thank you for being you. Now go bring your light into the world. Blessings.
Thanks.
Thank you all for listening to the Don't Shrink to Fit podcast. If you like this episode, please write a juicy comment below and subscribe to my podcast. Remember, we can only fly if we embrace each other. Until next week, be happy, be safe, and be kind to yourself.